What if your entire day could be transformed in the first 30 minutes after waking up? What if ancient wisdom held the key to mental clarity, inner peace, and unshakable discipline? These 13 Stoic morning principles aren't motivational fluff. They're ancient practices that rewire the mind, build resilience, and help you start every day like a Roman emperor. Welcome to the Power of Mind, where we rediscover ancient truths for modern minds. In a world of chaos, anxiety, and endless distraction, the Stoics knew one thing: master your mornings, and you master your life. Today, we dive deep into 30 morning principles rooted in Stoic philosophy, powerful habits practiced by Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, to give you calm clarity and control before the world even wakes up. The morning is not just a beginning, it is a battlefield of the mind. Before the world touches you with noise, demands, and distractions, the Stoics urge you to take control of your internal state. As Marcus Aurelius woke each day, he reminded himself not of comfort but of the duty he had as a rational being. To begin the day is to wage war against passivity, emotion, and forgetfulness of purpose. And so, a Stoic morning is not a routine of rituals for the sake of appearances. The first principle is to wake up with resistance. Your bed will be warm. Your mind will protest, but you were not born to lie under blow. You were made to live, to fulfill your nature, to act in accordance with reason. And if the body resists, remind it that ease is not your master. The wise do not serve comfort, they command it. Once awake, the Stoic mind does not reach for pleasure or distraction, but for presence. To sit with the morning light in silence, and breathe, not to meditate in a performative sense, but to feel the immense privilege of being alive, conscious, aware. Seneca reminds us that life is long if we know how to use it, and each morning becomes a chance to claim that time back from wastefulness. This is not romanticism, it is a survival strategy of the mind. The Stoics faced exile, war, slavery, and yet they began their days as if they still had agency, because what cannot be taken from you is your power to respond. Before speaking to anyone else, speak to your own mind. Epictetus taught that we must examine our impressions first, think what thoughts are arising, what assumptions are coloring the day before it begins. Are you already anticipating conflict, desiring praise, fearing failure? The Stoic learns to detect these before they crystallize. It is like brushing the mind clean before the world deposits its filth. This is not repression. It is awareness. Because the unexamined mind is not free, and freedom, in Stoicism, is the highest good, the freedom to live in accordance with your reasoned nature. Then comes the principle of negative visualization, a strange practice to some, but vital in Stoicism. Imagine that today, you may lose what you love. That insult may come. That plan may fail. That person may die. This is not pessimism. It is preparation. The Stoics were not detached from life because they feared pain. They were detached because they accepted it. Only when you have faced the worst in your mind can you meet the day with serenity. The man who has practiced loss in his imagination cannot be broken by it in reality. The woman who has prepared for hardship meets it with grace, not panic. Next, you ask yourself, what is in my control today, and what is not? This one distinction, this single line drawn between what is mine and what is not mine, is the foundation of Stoic peace. My response is mine. If the weather turns, if plans change, if fortunes shift, none of these are mine. But my attitude, my integrity, my effort, these are mine. And so, I will focus on them alone. This is how a Stoic begins the day. Not with grand ambitions, but with clarity of boundaries. What belongs to me is where my power lies. And from this place of clarity, we remember the purpose. To live in agreement with nature, not the nature of trees or skies, but human nature. To be rational, virtuous, just not perfect, not unfeeling, but principled. Every morning is a reminder that we are not merely workers, consumers, or bodhisattvas, but minds with the potential for greatness through character. And greatness begins in small, repeated acts. Waking up with discipline, meeting discomfort with courage, choosing silence over gossip, generosity over selfishness, stillness over reactivity. So, the Stoic morning is not glamorous. It does not demand perfection. It demands presence. It asks you to show up not for the world, not for social validation, but for your own soul. The modern world is designed to hijack your attention the moment you wake up. A Stoic resists. They do not scroll. They do not react. They rise slowly, intentionally. They ask, who am I becoming today? And they answer, not in words, but in choices. Because intelligence is not just what you know, it's how you live. And a Stoic begins each day with a vow to live better, not louder. The world does not need more noise. It needs more mindset of clarity before chaos, and that begins always with the first light of morning. The next principle that defines a Stoic morning is the conscious withdrawal from the illusion of control. Upon waking, many rush to check their phones, read emails, or anticipate the events of the day. But a Stoic starts differently. He acknowledges what lies within his control, his thoughts, choices, and responses, and detaches from what doesn't: external events, others, opinions, the weather, or misfortunes. This immediate mental sorting builds resilience and clarity. It prevents the anxious entanglement with the unpredictable world and centers the mind on what it can actually shape. The Stoic thus begins the day with a deep breath and a moment of mental alignment. I cannot control what today will bring, but I will control how I show up. Following this, the practice of mental rehearsal, premeditatio malorum, becomes vital. This isn't pessimism, but preparation. A Stoic envisions potential challenges of the day ahead: traffic, rudeness, delays, betrayal. By contemplating them in advance, he is never caught off guard. When adversity strikes, it's not a shock, but a familiar guest. This principle doesn't weaken the spirit, it armors it. If your mind rehearses discomfort and difficulty, it ceases to fear them. And when you no longer fear discomfort, clarity becomes your default. The world loses its power to disturb you. Another principle centers on intentional simplicity. In a world that glorifies urgency and clutter, the Stoic seeks minimalism not just in possessions, but in thoughts. Morning rituals are kept clean, deliberate, essential. No overthinking, no multitasking, just presence. One cup of tea, one breath, one silent reflection. This simplicity is not laziness but power. It declutters the mind, allowing space for focus, observation, and wisdom. The Stoic clears his mental desk before beginning the work of the day. Gratitude, though often romanticized, is also a Stoic principle. But unlike modern sentimentality, Stoic gratitude is deeply rational. The Stoic doesn't express thanks because life is perfect, but because he is aware that it could be worse. He gives thanks not only for what he has, but for the strength to endure what he lacks. This transforms morning reflection from shallow positivity into robust appreciation. When you begin your day aware of impermanence, you cherish the breath in your lungs, the sun on your skin, and the silence of a new morning. Gratitude becomes clarity. Gratitude becomes strength. The next pillar is responsibility. A Stoic doesn't outsource his emotions. He doesn't say, "She made me angry," or "They ruined my day." Instead, he reclaims ownership. "I allowed anger. I react." This radical self-responsibility is not harsh but freeing. It removes the chaos of dependency and grounds you in autonomy. In the morning, a Stoic reminds himself, "Nothing can disturb me unless I permit it." This sets the tone for an unshakable mindset. Whether praised or criticized, assisted or betrayed, his inner compass remains steady. Discipline is another crucial principle, and it manifests in the simplest acts: rising on time, making your bed, embracing discomfort. These aren't chores, they're declarations. Every disciplined act is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Morning discipline trains the mind to resist impulses and embrace purpose. The Stoic knows that a mind ruled by emotion is a slave. A mind trained through discipline is free, so every morning is a battleground where victory is won in the smallest habits. Lastly, for this section, the Stoic cultivates stillness before action. Stillness is not inactivity. It is readiness. Before rushing into the demands of the day, the Stoic pauses. He listens not to the noise of the world, but to the whisper of his own reason. In that pause, clarity arises. The day may be chaotic, but the Stoic will not be. His actions will be deliberate, his words measured, his presence grounded, because his mind, from the moment of waking, was taught to be still. In your morning stillness, learn to question your first impulses. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that not every thought that arises is worthy of belief. Not every feeling deserves an audience. The Stoics practiced proheresis, the ability to evaluate impressions before assenting to them. In the clarity of the early hours, when the world has not yet imposed its chaos upon you, make time to observe your inner dialogue. Ask, is this thought useful? Is this fear rooted in fact or imagination? Am I disturbed by the thing, or by my judgment of the thing? These mental audits sharpen your ability to think clearly and act wisely throughout the day. Begin your day with purpose, not passivity. The Stoics believe that a life without direction is a life easily hijacked by passions, distractions, and the noise of others. As Seneca said, if you do not know which port you are sailing to, no wind is favorable. Before the world demands your attention, declare your own intention. Write down your core values, revisit your goals, and clarify your role in this day. Are you a student of life, a servant of reason, a voice of calm in the storm? Even a few moments of reflective planning can turn your morning into a philosophical compass. Another principle is voluntary hardship, the Stoic practice of occasional discomfort to toughen the soul. While the world around you seeks comfort and ease, the Stoic begins his day by strengthening his will. Cold showers, early rising, fasting, silence, these are not for show, but for mastery over desires. When you strip away luxury, you discover your own resilience. Epictetus advised, practice yourself, for heaven's sake, in little things, and thence proceed to greater. Each morning, challenge your softness, not with cruelty, but with discipline. This is how you become unshakable when life truly tests you. Closely tied to that is the idea of as you rise, remind yourself, all things pass. This day, this body, your comforts, your plans, none are guaranteed. This may sound bleak, but the Stoic finds empowerment in this reality. It forces you to appreciate life deeply. Marcus Aurelius began each day with the thought that he may not see another. He wrote, "You could leave life, right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Start your morning not with dread of death, but with the fuel of mortality. What would you do differently today if you knew time was limited? Silence is a forgotten discipline in the modern world, but to the Stoic, it is sacred. Begin your day with silence before the noise of the world enters. No phone, no social media, just breath, thought, and presence. Seneca warned about the loss of time to trivial conversations and external chatter. Morning silence allows your mind to become still, like a calm lake that reflects reality without distortion. In silence, you can listen to your conscience, examine your thoughts, and align with your higher self. Make space for that silence, and clarity will follow. Finally, the principle of internal control. The Stoic anchor. You cannot control the world, but you can control how you respond. Each morning is a chance to recommit to that truth. Whatever happens today, delays, insults, losses, surprises, you have the power to meet it with equanimity. The Stoic does not expect an easy day, but he prepares for it mentally. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you will meet ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, uncharitable men. He wasn't cynical, he was ready. With this expectation, no shock can disturb your peace. So when the sun rises and the world calls, the Stoic does not stumble into the day. He rises with reason. He begins with clarity. He chooses his mindset before life chooses for him. This is the Stoic morning. Not a ritual of habits, but a return to self. The first battle of your day is often the most important, and it begins in your own mind. By living these Stoic morning principles, you're not just waking up earlier or being more productive. You're training your soul for peace, your mind for war, and your heart for purpose. If this video helped clarify your path, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's seeking a calmer, stronger life. Remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits, and these are the habits worth living by. Do see you in the next one. Stay stoic.